In the category of Precious Export, the finalists are Jesse Ash, Stuart Howe, Christopher Lloyd.
This is not a riddle. This is not a bullshit test. Shouldn't you be settled? Oh, lately I am not impressed.
Hi St. John, I'm Jesse Ash and I'm a sound designer. I live in Montreal and I travel around making oral environments for plays mostly. But I also make noise in rock group Reversing Falls and teach my trade to students at the National Theatre School of Canada. I also spend a lot of time just making noise for not really any reason at all, and making music with friends, making recordings, all that kind of stuff. I like to keep busy as much as possible. As a kid growing up in Hampton, coming into St. John was literally going to town. And St. John's where I first experienced the magic feeling I get from walking into beautiful old theaters, such as the Imperial, which of course you all know well, I'm sure. Not to mention the goosebumps I could get just walking around town on a foggy day, soaking in the beautiful architecture. Later I started going to see rock shows in town, buying records from Backstreet, and met a bunch of great people with whom I still collaborate. I spent a summer living on the west side in a beautiful beach house, making music with friends, again with whom I still collaborate and keep in touch with. And as much as Hampton gave me the basis for what became my passions in life, St. John sort of helped me branch out and actually practice them. The fog, the uptown architecture, the Loyalist burial ground, the west side gun bunkers, that beach house, all of them I think really play into what's become my sort of personal aesthetic. I try to come back to town as much as possible. It generally ends up being probably about 4 or 5 times a year. At least a couple of those times inevitably are with the old rock group Reversing Falls, with formidable former St. Johner Tyler Crawford. And this summer I'm really looking forward to coming back for a whole 4-week residency with Third Space Gallery, where I'm going to be creating some sound installations for you all. So I can't wait to see you all then. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, my name is Stuart Howe, and I'm a professional opera singer. And no matter where I happen to be in the world, in my mind, I still refer to St. John as home. But growing up in and around St. John really had very little impact on my career path in the arts. I mean, I always knew I wanted to entertain people with music, but I really wasn't exposed to classical music or to opera for that matter, so it had to manifest itself in other ways. I owned my own DJ service, for example, and I was an announcer on one of the local radio stations. Having said that, there was still something in my mind that told me that the Bi-Capital project was important. So I can remember as a high school student being involved in the small ways that I was able at the time. And we can all see the impact this theater's had on the arts in St. John, because every community needs one of those focal point venues. And I know if I were growing up in St. John now, I probably would discover my opera voice a whole lot sooner. And that's great. I have tried over the years, when asked, to participate with the symphony and the opera and other local arts organizations as my schedule allows. And I have to tell you that having left St. John to follow a radio career, then becoming an opera singer, it means it's always a huge thrill for me to come home and sing in this amazing theater. And I wish I could do it more often. And it makes a nomination such as this all the more special. So thank you.
My name is Chris Lloyd. I'm a visual artist. I live in Montreal, Quebec. Currently working as chief technician for DHC Art, which is a private foundation for international contemporary art located in the Old Port area of Montreal. I have a studio and maintain a visual arts practice. I moved away from St. John first in 1996, and then to go to school in Halifax. And then I moved back in 2005 to start the third space, and moved back to Montreal in 2007. Well, I have family and tons of friends in St. John, so I get back as often as I can, 3 or 4 times a year maybe, depending on whether it's personal or professional. I'm not as involved in third space anymore, but I still think about their programming, and in many of the interactions in my work or through my practice, when I meet other artists or I see people with interesting programming, and I think if it can fit, I definitely suggest that they visit St. John. Also, sometimes just for the perverse enjoyment of knowing that other people will get to see the kind of crazy city where I spent a lot of time growing up.